Alrighty. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Raymond Report for Thursday, July 23rd. I'm your host, Ron Raymond, along with special co-host and handicapper of the Raymond Report, Ross Benjamin. How you doing, Ross?
All good, Ron. How about yourself?
Hey, you know what? It's like a kid in the candy store today for a lot of website owners, and I'm sure for people involved in sports. Although we did have some sports, but once you get the big four going, it's just crazy when you go out there and you see everybody posting and a lot of excitement today, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, any sport is a good sport right now. I mean, yeah, we had horse racing and NASCAR going on, a little bit of PGA, but that's not our cup of tea, what we've been dealing with over the years. I know that you've done a lot of horse racing stuff and done awfully well. But I mean, the bottom line is that as far as the audience's best sports to really hone in on, the major four are what you just referred to.
Oh, absolutely. And no, I'm looking forward to today's show, Ross, because now we went into our preview mode. We broke down all the NFL. I thought there was a great information that we gave, and now we're going to head into the Raymond Report Daily Podcast. And what we're going to do with the Daily Podcast, Ross, and just so our audience will know, is that we're going to try every day to go on and have 30 minutes or less, and then just have like a market watch of what's going on that day, and hopefully we can bring some insight and some information to our people who follow us here. And folks, if you're listening to us on the website, you can also listen to the Raymond Report with Ross Benjamin and also with Christian Nally, who will be coming here. The Big Ragu will be doing starting podcast there starting next week. You can listen to us on any of your streaming devices, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple's iTunes, and so give us a shout and give us a like. And folks, if you want to get in touch with Ross Benjamin, Ross, where can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can go right to my website, which is rossbenjaminsports.com or rbwins.com. Either one, it'll land you on the same page. I do have a pickup today, not only at my site, but at Ron's site, Atstatscom. I have a 10-star best bet on the Washington Nationals New York Yankees game tonight, which we'll discuss briefly in a little bit. And you could also contact me by reaching out to me via phone, 781-571-0299. It's 781-571-0299. I accept all major credit cards, and I could tailor a package specifically for you if you don't like what I have to offer at the website, Ron.
And that's, one thing that we do, Ross, is that we're sports handicappers. As much as we love doing podcasts, our goal here is to educate and then entertain also to an extent the viewers and people who follow us. But, sports betting and making money, right? At the end of the day, it's all fun and games till you lose money. And, we want to make money, and hopefully the people who follow us, we get on these good runs that we can help to make some money. And you can also get my selections each and every day along with the Raymond Report at Atstatscom. And folks, when you do purchase a membership at Atstats, there's two versions of a membership here. There's the membership where you log in and you get access to the entire site except for the pick section. The pick section we sell separately. So if you're ever confused on, let's say you bought a membership and you're saying, how come I don't get Ross Benjamin's pick? Well, the handicappers we have are like independent contractors who sell their picks at our site. And this is how the business model that we've chosen. And, you can each and every day you can get our top plays and right here at atstats.com along with the Raymond Report. Yeah,
and I could add this. The benefit of having multiple cappers at your site is, hey, I might go cold and you're red hot. So you got, as far as the consumer goes, our records, our hot streaks will be listed by Ron at atstats.com, and you could follow who's hot at the time.
Absolutely, Ross. And that's one thing I'm really happy that, obviously we've known each other a long time, but we haven't worked together in a while, but we're putting an all-star team here at ATS. And to me, it's very important to get a lot of credible guys and guys that will have integrity. And not that, I'm not saying anybody doesn't, but the guys that we bring into the ATS expert handicappers are guys that I know have a history of of winning and making people money. Now, the Raymond Report is a report that I'm going to give out each and every day here on all sports. In fact, we've been doing this now a couple of years, and it's a report based on 3 key fundamentals of handicapping. 1, value. 2, the percentage play, and the PVI, Performance Value Index, where we monitor and track the performance of teams. And depending on the cycle and the market watch, the bookmaker follows all the lines and the books. And what we do is it's almost like the stock market. We see what the books needs, what the market is telling us, and then we make our selections. Now, one thing I like to do here, Ross, each and every broadcast is talk about sports handicapping 101. And I like to bring a betting tip. But before I do, you just finished off 32 NFL previews, and we'll be posting those previews on our website. But if somebody just wanted to kill some time, where can they find those previews?
Well, they could find them at OSGA.com. Well, I should say OSGA YouTube channel, excuse me. And also at Ron's site at Atstatscom. He'll periodically rotate those videos in. But if you want all the archives, OSGA YouTube channel. And not only could you get my videos there, you could also get each and every edition of our Raymond Report with Ross Benjamin.
Yeah, and we just did every division, Ross. For 8 shows, our last 8 shows, we broke down each division in the NFL. And if people want to see that, again, you can find us on your favorite podcast device, and or you can get them right here at Atstatscom. All right, so I'm going to give out a free to play here. Now, back in the day, Ross, as you know, I had a website called PhoenixSports.com. I still have it. It's still active, and I still post over there. And we used to have this forum, and there was a guy on there named Slaughter. And he used to, during baseball season, he was just killing it. And he used to have this system, we used to call it the Slaughter Plays. And the system went like this. You watch out for home teams who have won by 7 runs or more in the last game, play them in the following game. And according to Slaughter, the system that he based it on was playing on a team's offensive hitting zone. And when I ran this in my database, lately, with the Yankees last 5 years as a home team and won by 7 runs or more, 40-14 straight up in their next game. So the concept and the theory behind the Slaughter Plays is you're getting a good team who's in a hitting zone in baseball, right? In baseball it's very streaky, and you get a team that can hit the rubber off the ball, and next thing you know, they're going on a good winning streak. So play the Slaughter Plays and look out for teams that are home teams and have won by 7 runs or more in the last game. Play them in the next game. What do you think of that one, Ross?
Well, it's solid. I mean, stop and think about it just from a rational standpoint. You're coming off and you're playing at home, right? And the win by 7 or more was at home as well. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Is it playing at home in the 7+ run win was at home as well, or
at home? Yeah.
Okay. So having said that, yeah, it doesn't shock me with the Yankees. I mean, over the last 5 years, their home record has been excellent, but you're really narrowing it down now, where if they're coming off a blowout win of 7 runs or more in the previous game at home, 40-14, that's excellent. And look, that's 54 situations in 5 years. That's pretty close to 11 times per season it's occurred. So the Yankees have had their fair share of home blowouts is what that tells me. And it depends on the money line too, Ron. If you can catch them at a reasonable price, because a lot of times they're a huge favorite at home. But if they're playing a quality team and the starting pitching matchup doesn't favor them, that can turn into a real good value play.
Yeah, and the thing with this, when I think about this Slaughter Play, it's like in the Raymond Report, I talk about my A-type teams, my B-type teams. This is basically following the A-type teams, the Houstons, Tampa Bays,
Dodgers.
The teams that win above 60%. And what team did you say, Ross?
The Dodgers.
Dodgers, yeah, perfect example. Yeah. Those are the teams that you really, and you got to be careful too, because a lot of those teams they come with a heavy price, right?
Yeah.
So buyer beware. But if you're willing to lay a little bit of chalk, I'm not, but it's a good system to.
One tip I would give, if I could add this in, Ron, if if that situation comes up and you're getting a minus 190, I'm not a proponent of playing them. But if you decide to do so, don't put yourself at a big risk. If you normally play to win $100, it would be 190 to win 100, and that's absurd to do that, because if you lose that game, you have to win the next 3 just to be at a profit margin. What I would suggest is, rather than play to win 100, you risk 100 on the play. So your payoff is going to be a little smaller, but it keeps your money management in order, Ron. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and you that's exactly where I was going with that too, Ross. And my money management in baseball, and every sport is different when it comes to money management. And my rule of thumb in betting baseball is this: dogs, totals, and then if I do love a favorite, it has to be minus 150 or less, and I absolutely have to love it. It just has to be a solid one of my 5-star best bets. But if I break it down in my percentages, I'd say about 50% of my plays are totals, 30% to 35% are the underdogs, and then that 10 to 15% I'll do lay a little bit of chalk. But that's probably a breakdown of how my baseball betting is, because like you said, you start laying minus 192 to you need 3 winning bets to make up just to get a 1 unit, right? So
yeah, I mean, and the other option you could do is play the run line. If you're getting a decent price, I mean, I wouldn't play a run line at minus 135, but if a team is 190 and you don't want to take that big of a risk, which you shouldn't, you may want to entertain using a run line where you can get that team at minus 1.5 runs, somewhere at even money to plus 110, somewhere around that area, even a minus 110 on the run line. So that's another option.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, looking at the futures odds, and I know we talked about it in our first podcast, Ross, or first or second. I know we did some NBA and Major League Baseball. Bookmaker this morning, I took their latest odds, and I'm sticking to my guns with Tampa Bay as my best bet to win the World Series at 1,492, and my long shot, I'm sticking with the Padres at plus 4,000. What do you like?
Yeah, I mean, as far as my favorite pick out of them all would be the Yankees, even at the money they're at. I don't like betting futures odds at that price, but by the same token, it's a 60-game season. So it creates a little more value in my mind. And as long shots, I like the Chicago White Sox in the American League, in the National League.
Yeah. I chuckle because I saw you take a swig of coffee out of that New York Yankee mug this morning.
Yeah, and you could look behind me.
Over you.
I know it looks like a biased pick.
Was it Mickey Mantle in the back there?
Yeah, the old saying. I love the Yankees. I love the Bills. If I bet on them, it's because I really like them. And if I have any doubt, I just stay away from the game. And if it shows that I should be playing the other side, I stay away from the game, because then you're torn. So
we're handicappers. We bet with our wallet, not our heart, right?
Right. Well, we're human too.
Yeah,
so,
we're human. Oh yeah, there's still that fan in us.
But now, that's got nothing to do with it, Ron. Honestly, I just dawned on me. The Yankees Cup, all the Yankee paraphernalia. No. Anyway, my long shots. Let's get away from the Yankees. My long shot. I don't know what the odds are. You don't have it up in front of me. But the long shots I like are Cincinnati in the National League and the White Sox in the American League.
Okay, let me see if I can get this up here. I got screen share. I think this is it here. All right, do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, now let's talk a bit about perception versus reality. We talk about this a lot, and folks, again, if you're listening to us for the first time, this is the Raymond Report along with Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com and atsstats.com. And you can get our top plays here each and every day. Now, Ross, looking at these stats, perception versus reality is something we're going to talk a lot into our podcast every day. And we're going to start off, once we get more data and more games, we'll start off with a market watch with our sports betting index. And we've got a great system tool here at atsstats.com, which tracks the favorites, the underdogs, the homes, the aways, the totals. It's a really great feature because it tells you where the market is thinking perception-wise and reality. And Ross, we talked this about to a long extent sometimes. There's a perception out there before, and I'll get to that into today's and tomorrow's game. Opening day, bookmaker, us against the bookmakers. We know what the public is thinking, and I'm looking at these lines. And I'm saying, man, there's a lot of money to be made here today, because I can just see the whole public jumping on these favorites, and I'll get to that in a second. But looking at these odds right here, like look at Boston Red. I think the Red Sox are going to be struggling this year. Looking at that bullpen the other night against the Blue Jays, they blew a 4-0 lead. That bullpen came in and just, it's one game, exhibition game, but I don't see Boston losing Mookie Betts and all that. The perception is when you see those historical teams like the Boston Red Sox, you're going to think, oh, you know what? There's already a preconceived notion that, they're going to win in your mind until you start breaking them down. And I think there's going to be other teams like Milwaukee Brewers where you don't think they got a shot, but I think the Brewers are going to be a good team here too, and they're plus 3,347 at bookmaker.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Red Sox starting rotation along with their bullpen, they'll score some runs, but you have to have pitching to win it all, and it should tell you right there. If you think you're getting a bargain with the Red Sox at plus 4,800, the books aren't that nice. They're not that gracious. And I for one, I unequivocally trust the odds makers. Are they wrong on occasion? Yes, but more times than not, they're right. And for them to have the Red Sox that high at plus 4,800, that speaks volumes to me. Milwaukee, again, you get into these small market teams, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Oakland. Those are the teams that what Ron's just alluded to, the polar opposite thereof. Right, Ron? They don't have that huge national following. More or less, it's constrained to their local area. And they don't get a lot of national media. They don't get a lot of nationally televised games. And that's where you could find some value with those small market teams, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have two games tonight, Ross. And I know you do have a pick here tonight. Is it the Washington Yankees game, right?
Yes, that's true. Well, it's a 10-star best bet on the Yankees-Washington game, and you can get it right now at Atstatscom or rbwins.com for $40. 46-31 with my last 77 MLB 10-star best bets dating back to last season. That's 60%, and I'm using reasonably sized favorites like Ron touched upon or underdogs. Yeah. So my 60% could be a lot better than other people's 65 is my point.
Yeah, and I have I got a top play tonight too, Ross, but it's on the other game. It's on the Giants and Dodgers 10:08 start, and you can get that play right here at Atstatscom. Now, speaking of those two games here tonight, Ross, I'm gonna, let's talk a bit about that perception versus reality here. The Yankees minus 135 with Garrett Cole, 7.5. Is the over/under with the Washington Nationals. I'm going to bring up a stat here, and this is what I mean by
6.5 or 7.5, Ron.
Oh, sorry, 6.5. When I posted that, it was at 7 though. That was a couple days ago. This article, but where's my? I got an article here that I wrote last week, or I think it was at the. Here it is, right here. Starting pitchers was Kershaw, and talking about this game here. Now, Max.
Ron, okay, if I could just interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the updated odds. The total on the Yankees in Washington is 7.5 across the board.
Okay, so it is 7.5?
Yes.
Okay, so we do have it because some of the odds we get where our goal serve odds, sometimes they have to check. I thought it was bookmaker. But I believe looking at bookmaker right now, I'm just going to look at my account. And I'm going to do a screen share here, Ross.
I got bookmaker 7.5 to go over is minus 119 to go under minus 101.
Okay, there you go. So we do have 7.5. Now, do you see this here, Ross, the screen share?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, folks, you can get this here at ATSstats.com. If you go to our website, click on MLB. And once you click on MLB, you'll see the picture of Kershaw. Just click on it. And then now perception versus reality. When you think of a pitcher like Max Scherzer, World Series champion, Washington Nationals, great pitcher, been around a while. and there's a perception that, he wins a lot of games. But, when he's going up against another ace like Kershaw tonight, I just want to, and the reason why I'm bringing this up here, Ross, is to let people know that don't fall in love with announcers on MLB Network or ESPN, and they're telling you, oh, this guy's going to win. And if, they don't know, like, they know it from a fan point of view. We know it from a business point of view that if you look at Max Scherzer, when the total is, let's say at home, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. He's done well at 7.5, 8-2 straight up. But look at this at 6, 0-2, 3-4, 4-6. And if you look at Clayton Kershaw for tonight for the Dodgers, when he's in those low totals, 7-3, 8-2, 8-2, 7-3, 7-3. And the reason why I'm comparing this, Ross, is to show you the difference between a real ace stud like Kershaw compared to Max Scherzer, who's classified from a public perception as a top ace, but in reality does not have the same stats as an ace like Kershaw.
No, not even a close when it comes to that. Now, that's not to take away from the quality of pitcher he is.
Exactly.
He spent some time with the Detroit Tigers back in the day as well. Having said that, what that tells me, not a good record when the total's between 6 and 7 leads me to believe he's matched up against another ace on another team and does not fare well in that situation.
Yeah.
Where Kershaw, on the other hand, what Ron just touched upon, his good record of 70% or above when it's between 6 and 7, if I recall, that's what you said.
Yeah, last 10 games.
Yeah, okay. So that tells me when he's matched up against the other team's ace or one of the top pitchers in the league or a red-hot pitcher, he fares awfully well. So, yeah, it goes hand in hand what Ron's saying. Kershaw is a true ace. I think Max Scherzer, a lot of the other component with him is he's pitched very well in the postseason in recent years, and I think that sticks in people's mind. He threw a no-hitter last year. But when it comes down to at the end of the day, we don't care about that stuff. We want wins and losses.
Yeah,
that's what we care about.
And exactly, and you got to find your spot, like shop for value, play to percentages, and in the Raymond Report we always talk about, and pick your spot when's a good time to go against Scherzer, like maybe tonight, or Kershaw maybe is a good time you play him, but with these pitchers, and in the Raymond Report, the B-type pitchers, the middle of the pack pitchers, that's where I go get my value and play the percentages because I can get a lot of good value. And let's be honest, this is a highlight game tonight. It's the only game at 7 o'clock. This is like, a Monday night football game type thing when it comes to betting public, right?
Yeah.
So Ross, there is a game tonight. There's 2 of them. Let's talk about those 2 games here. I'm going to bring up some trends that I brought up here, and maybe the other games for tomorrow. We're going on 22 minutes, and I want to keep these shows under 30 minutes on the daily market watch. Maybe we'll break those down tomorrow for the audience. Now, Washington, Scherzer against Garrett Cole. Now, last season, Garrett Cole was 13-6 straight up. Or not him, his team. When Garrett Cole started, the Yankees were 13-6 straight up, 7-11-1 to the under. And when he faces the Washington Nationals on the road, he's 5-3, but 1-6-1 to the under. For Max Scherzer, last season, 8-9 straight up for the Nationals, 7-9-1 to the under. And his team, when he faces the Yankees, last 10 games, 6-3 straight up, 3-5-1 to the under. In the other second game, Johnny Cueto's going to go for the Giants up against Clayton Kershaw. Last season, you see here, 2-2 for Cueto, 3-1 to the over. And Clayton Kershaw, when he was at home, or I believe, 13-4 straight up for Clayton Kershaw, 10-7 to the over-under. And when he faces the San Francisco Giants, 29-11. Sorry, so that's 13-4 at home. 13-4 straight up at home. And when Clayton Kershaw faces the Giants, 29-11, 29-19, and 14-31-3 to the under for Kershaw. I was saying, man, those numbers are really tough, but I forgot that's at home. When he's at home, last season, 8-9 straight up for the Nationals. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, one thing I take away from that is what people lose sight of. And what Ron is talking about as far as how their team does, I call that team starts. So in other words, Scherzer could have been 15-13 as far as official decisions went last year. I'm being hypothetical, throwing numbers out there. And he could have been 17-20 in his team starts, meaning every game he started, how did his team fare? What was the win-loss result? So I wouldn't get too caught up with pitchers' actual decision record, which is official on the books. When it comes to betting, we just care about wins and losses. So that's one thing I would take away from it. The other thing is Kershaw. He's got 47 career starts against the San Francisco Giants and a 1.78 ERA and a less than 1 WHIP against the Giants. So he's owned them over the course of his career, and he was facing a lot better teams than he's going to face tonight. Remember, he's been there since 2008, and during that time, I believe the San Francisco Giants won 3 world championships. So that's a bitter rivalry, and he stepped up to the plate and become a Dodger hero, not only for his great career record and his career statistics, but the ability to dominate their bitter rival.
Yeah, no, it's interesting stats, and looking at tonight's lineup, Ross. One thing again, the line moves tonight. Yeah. The one thing I love about this is it's opening day, and we're always even with the bookmakers because nobody knows what to expect. It's day one of a COVID environment we're in right now. No fans. It's basically it's a different world, right, in the sports world.
Yes.
And now let's take a look at some of the line moves. So, folks, if you're new to ATS Stats and if you are a member, you want to go look at the line moves, go to MLB, go to Raymond Report, and then from there, let's bring up the Yankees and Nationals, and we'll just take a quick line move check here, and then we'll go to our matrix to get some odds, and then we'll close it out. So, looking at the line moves on the Yankees game here. So, according to our stats here, Ross, our numbers. Now, folks, these line moves we just switched the autopilot back on of these of our stats. So this here goes from last night or early this morning. Now the number we have here was minus 126. It went up to 130, and now 135 was the highest I see here, and then it's now back to 124. It could be lower right now at bookmaker, but this line is just jumping all over the place. 6.5 was the total, 7.5, 6.5, and now it's back to 7.5, right?
Yeah. You're looking at right now, I'm looking at across the board. They're anywhere from minus 129 at Pinnacle to as high as minus 141 at Bovada. So, and then I'm looking at the money market. And when I say that, the amount of bets versus the amount of money bet, I'm seeing that 65%. Let's see, make sure I'm giving you the right stuff. Yep. 65% of the total bets, meaning the actual ticket numbers, have been placed on the Yankees, and 92% of the money wagered has gone the way of the Yankees. So, yeah. And that's with 10,000 bets that have been made on this game thus far. Wow. And there'll be a lot more. So something to look at too. That's another handicapping aspect we'll talk about on another day, Ron. Where you're trying to track sharp action. But I don't get too caught up with that. But when you're on the fence a little bit, it's something, it's an intriguing aspect to look at in terms of handicapping.
I think I mentioned this a couple times on the show last week or a couple weeks ago. I used to follow the money line, but the money line to me now is just, there's a smoke screen. Like sometimes the bookmaker will just, we don't know what they're doing. Like, they're throwing out fake numbers, and I've been following and tracking. I even created a website on following the line moves in the record. And again, it was 50-50. It's one of those systems. That's why I'm a law of average guy now, because what goes up must come down, and teams can't win or cover forever. Looking at the Giants and Dodgers, now this line here, again, I don't recommend anybody laying 300 on the Dodgers, but that's where we're at right now about. And the total's at 8. What do you got for a total, Ross?
I'm I'm looking at, let me get there, Ron. Give me 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
But I'm looking at, I see an 8 at Pinnacle. I see an 8 at Bovada. I see an 8 at Bet Online. I'm seeing 8.5 at Heritage Bookmaker and 5 dimes. So between 8 and 8.5. So again, it's always a good idea to shop for the best line, right, Ron?
Well,
If you can get
absolutely.
some multiple books you're dealing with, in this particular instance, I mean, if you had 4 or 5 books you're dealing with, if you like the under, you're going to look for the one who has 8.5. If
Yeah,
you like the over, you're going to look for the one who has 8.
yeah.
So,
And you bring a great point because some lines will be like minus 120 or minus 110 or
yeah.
minus 11. And Pinnacle, they used to be 104. I don't know if they're still in that neighborhood, but they were really known for that, having a
Yeah.
minus 104 line.
Actually, it's plus 104 on the under tonight with the Dodger game. Yep. So,
Okay. Before we go, Ross, we're just going to bring up the matrix, and this is a new tool here we created at ATS Stats. Can you see this, Ross? Like I'm just switching over here.
yes.
Okay, good. And people, if you're ever a member of ATS, you just click on these and go to the matrix. And we've got some nice little stats here on the Yankees and Nationals tonight. And what the matrix does, Ross, and to our audience, is that we track stats and trends and history. And as you can see, home and away, last 7 games, the Yankees, this is going back to last year, 2 and 5 to the under in their last 7 games. And when they're playing as a 6.5 road total, last 10 games, 3 and 7 to the under. And I got a nice little stat down here. When the Yankees are on the road versus an NL East division opponent, 2-13-0 to the under, and it's 4-11 when they're road favorites. So some interesting numbers here to the totals. Again, because it's day one, our programmers flipping the switch back on, so we don't have all the data, but we will have it for the next show when we get back on.
Yeah, and keep in mind the AL East and the NL East are going to play each other 4 times. Each team play each other 4 times this season. That's the way the 60-game schedule is designed in the COVID era. They're trying to reduce travel. So the Yankees, you brought up that, or Washington, you brought up that stat where they were 9-1 under in their last 10 against the AL East, and they're going to be playing 20 games against the well, let's see, 4 times 5, 20 games against the NL East, I believe.
Wow.
So something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You just said something there that just flipped the switch. 60-game schedule, Ross.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that the other night, and I was saying, do you think we're going to see some teams just say, you know what? It's 60 games. I want to get up ahead. Do I go to a 4-man rotation or do I stick to a 5-man rotation? That's something I was thinking about. I wonder if some teams are going to cut their rotation if they want to, from a strategy wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you might see it near the tail end where teams are like, gunning for that position, or they might cut down their rotation. But again, that's a lot of baseball in 60 days, though.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep an eye on is, these guys have only been back for a couple weeks, and these starting pitchers aren't stretched out like they normally would be after a full spring training. So don't expect to see a lot of starting pitchers go deep in the ball games. You're going to have to keep an eye on how each team's bullpen is performing, because the bullpens are going to be crucial, at least the first month of the season, in my opinion, Ron. And it's a whole different way to look at things right now. How you brought up a great point. Do you go to a 6-man rotation because you're squeezing 60 games into 65 days? That's without any rainouts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot to consider that we didn't have to consider before.
Yeah. Looking at the Nationals, they enjoy some home cooking. Last 15 games, obviously, with the playoffs, 11-4 straight up. As in the home or away underdog, 7-3. When the total is at home at 6.5, they are 5-2 straight up. So, and here's a really nice one here. When the Washington Nationals are home or away underdog, total 6.5. Last 7 games, 7-0 and 8-2 straight up. So, you can make a case here for the Nationals if you
Sure.
look at numbers. But the bad news is they're facing the New York Yankees. And one last little stat here: when they're home and away underdog versus an AL East division opponent, the under 80% to the under in the last 10. So A lot of good numbers here and trends pointing. You can make a case for both teams here tonight, and that's why they're called stats, right?
Yep.
But quickly, Ross, I'm just going to run through the Dodgers and the Giants, and then we'll talk about our selections tonight. So here's the San Francisco Giants. When on the roll, the total is 9.5. They're 7-3 straight up. So if you do like a live dog here tonight, folks, San Francisco 7-3 straight up on the roll when the total is 9.5. And let's take a look at the Dodgers.
Total's not 9.5 though. That's the
Oh,
problem.
sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
The total is not 9.5 though. Is that what you said? I'm not sure.
Okay, 8.5. It opened up at 9.5, and that's where we got the when
no,
it
it opened at 8, Ron.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know because we get it from a feed. So on our feed, I don't know where our feed.
Maybe it's 8. You got 8.5. Is it 9.5 or 8.5?
No, it says 9.5, and that's according to our feed. But we'll see.
I would double check that.
Yeah, I'll double check with Pradeep and see if. But looking at the Dodgers, let me see here. So Dodgers, last 10, 7-3, and let me see here. Versus NL West division opponents, 12-3 straight up at home, 7-0 the last 7, 9-1 in their last 10. So Dodgers. I can throw every stat at you. If the Dodgers are going to look like.
Oh yeah, absolutely, especially at home. I mean, they've been terrific at home the last couple of seasons. One thing to keep in mind too, in regards to what I just mentioned about starting pitchers not going deep into games early in the process. Johnny Cueto, who's starting tonight for San Francisco Giants, after going through Tommy John surgery a couple of years back, he's only made 13 starts over the last 2 seasons because of that injury. And he, according to everything I'm reading, Ron, he's 100% sound now physically. So you got to think that that's what they think if they're making him an opening day starter, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Those Tommy John surgeries take a long time to heal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't know if they're going to come back and being the same type of pitcher they were prior.
Yeah, and then like in Cueto's case last year, I think he started 4 games and they pulled the plug on him because he didn't have the pop on his fastball, and a lot of it was elbow related, and they felt like they brought him back too soon. He wasn't fully recovered.
Yeah, and that's but dealing with athletes in football and knowing how they think, they're always scared to lose their position. They're always scared, and they just want to play. Players just want to play.
Yeah.
But they don't listen to the science of everything, right?
Yeah, your competitiveness gets in the way, you know?
Yeah, and it's just players want to play. At the end of the day, they don't want to be sitting around. They want to get out there, and they want to move, so I get that. So, Ross, tonight you got to play on the Nationals.
Yankees and the Nationals, yep. It's right at your site right now, Atstatscom, Yankees Nationals. I also have a free pick in the Dodgers-Giants game tonight. I have a video, and Ron has it up at his site as well. You can get it at my site by going to the free picks page, or you can go to the OSGA YouTube channel, and it's listed right there too.
Yep, and I got a free pick too tonight. My free play is from the Yankees Nationals game, which you can get just by visiting my pick page. If you go to ATSstats.com, you can click on my picture here, or just click on the Ron Raymond picks or Ross Benjamin picks if you want to get the selections. I have a free pick on the Dodgers and the Yankees and Nationals, and I got an opening night best bet on the Giants and Dodgers, which you can get right now at ATSstats.com.
Real games, Ron. Real games.
Real games. Here we go. Hey,
yeah.
let's take the dust off the old converter. Let's go.
I tell you, if I would have had to give another preview or futures preview or divisional breakdown, I think I was going to lose all my hair.
So I guess we're not to wait for your CFL preview show.
Yeah, no, I mean that's your bag right there.
My bag. All right. So for Ross Benjamin, I'm Ron Raymond of the Raymond Report, where you can get our selections each and every day. Hopefully you guys have yourself a good one. This was the Raymond Report, and we'll be back tomorrow with another Raymond Report. Cheers.